Well, I still have you here. I would be remiss if I didn't mention what I think is the obvious point that this summer is not going to be a normal summer like the other ones that you've been used to. And so I think as your teacher, I would like to take a moment just to address some of the ways that it's going to be different and some of the things that we can do to stay safe. Well, that's the first thing. I want you all to stay safe and not let your guard down. Uh, Remember back to March and April and May, all the hard work that we did to stay safe? Well, now that we've got to this point, the work's not done. All we've done is, remember what the term was back in March? It was flatten the curve. We were trying to flatten the curve because we wanted to keep the emergency rooms clear so that they wouldn't get overwhelmed and so that we wouldn't overwork our doctors and nurses, right? Well, see, here's what happened. We were pretty successful at doing that, and as a result, the healthcare system didn't get overwhelmed. The horror stories that you heard about in many other places in the world didn't happen here, and so a lot of us kind of started thinking, well, there's no more virus. But the fact is, it's still there, guys. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if you just turn on the news and look at what's happening south of the border in the southern states, or with some resurgences elsewhere in the world, it's there and it does come back when people let their guard down. Now, some of that's inevitable, but there are some things that we can do to help prevent it. And remember, it's not always about us. You guys are young. I like to think of myself as being relatively young, but and maybe we're not so susceptible. But remember back to March, it was about the people who are susceptible, keeping them safe. Those are the elderly or people with underlying medical conditions. They're still at risk, and if we get sick and spread it to them, then that's not good. We want to try to keep them safe. So what have we learned over the past few months? There's a lot of conflicting reports. There's a lot of uncertainty. Some people want to believe that this is just not a thing anymore. And you know what? It is a thing, and it's going to continue to be a thing. But what I've noticed from looking at the news and reading it is that we know some things, some behaviors are better than others. And so I made a little list for you, and this is not meant to be taken as medical advice. It's just kind of what I put together, and I wrote it on my iPad here, so try to get that shown. All right, so on one side, check mark items. And on the other side, not don't do these items, but just an exclamation mark, like a little bit of caution, please. Farther is better than closer. The virus doesn't spread as well when we're farther apart. The closer we get, the more chance you're going to get someone infected if you have it, or that you'll get it from them. Okay? Outdoor seems to be better than indoor, so if you can meet outdoors, great. If you can avoid going inside, that's better. Sometimes we can't avoid that, so what are we going to do? If we go inside, wear a mask. The mask doesn't protect you from getting it. You're going to breathe in whatever is in the air. But when you sneeze or cough or spit just in the act of talking, like even saying the word tea for the word talk, that spits out some little specks of saliva, and if you're infected, someone else now has a higher risk of getting it. So wear a mask. Okay, get a stylish mask. And the last thing is, fewer people is better than more people. Smaller groups are better than large groups. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't do the things that were under the caution part of that table. It's just try not to do them as much, because this is a numbers game, guys. There's always a risk you're going to get infected if you get in contact with other people. The lower we can keep those numbers, the slower this thing spreads. We buy ourselves time to get to the point where there are treatments or where there's a vaccine, or we give our healthcare system the capacity it needs to deal with people who are really sick. Because remember, it's not even only about COVID. Imagine if an emergency room was filled with people suffering from COVID, and then there was a car accident victim who came in. Car accident has nothing to do with COVID, but if we can't help the car accident victim because we're too busy dealing with COVID cases, then it is related. So I don't mean to be a downer at the end here. I want you to know that this is going to pass at some point and life will return to normal. It did in 1918, 1919, after a vicious flu pandemic. Things got back to normal. And the same thing will happen here. But we got to be patient. It's only been 3 months, and wishful thinking is not going to make this thing go away. Smart thinking and smart actions are the best tools that we have. and then you let the scientists figure out a way to get a vaccine out there or treatments that are going to make this manageable. So stay safe. I really am looking forward to seeing you guys back in the building in September, and the best way we can ensure that we get there is by following the things that we know work and not letting wishful thinking guide our actions. All right, stay safe. Bye for now. Have a great summer. I miss you all, and I will see you hopefully very soon.